Hello there, my name is Megan Moore and I am a Media Studies student who is doing their A2 OCR Media Studies, and this is my very first production log. I did do these last year because obviously I did the AS to be able to do the A2, so I did do video logs last year, but I'm making them again because I think they're the easiest way to talk about everything that I'm doing and I'm gonna do and all of that stuff. It's a lot less stringent, is that the word? It's a lot less structured and a lot more casual if I'm talking to the camera, especially because I'm just kind of on my bed. It's hardly a very professional setting. I just find it easier and a bit more comfortable to talk about my ideas on camera rather than writing them out, because I never feel I convey exactly what I mean with words, although I can make them sound a lot more professional actually. So you never know, it might have been better to actually have written these down, but oh well. So yeah, these are just going to be really casual just because I think that that's the best way to do it. So yeah, just started doing the A2 and I have been doing quite a lot since then. I've set up my blog now. It's really pretty. I really like the theme that I've picked for it. I've picked the Flounder theme on WordPress, and I've been doing quite a lot of stuff for it. If you hear clicking, I apologise, but I'm just going to have a little look through my blog. Because I know it will come up really loud on the camera, but I also know that if I try and actually kind of edit this video, it always comes out. It just takes a lot of effort, and my Wi-Fi can't handle uploading it, so I pretty much just upload it from the straight file, really. But I just want to kind of have an order to how I do this production log so that I make sure that I don't miss anything out, because I've done quite a lot. But like I said, I've made my blog now. My internet has stopped working, which is really helpful. But yeah, so I've done my blog, and one of the first things I did was I responded to the brief. So I chose the first brief for Media Studies, which is a promotional package for the release of an album to include a music promo video together with 2 ancillary tasks, which are the digipack and the advertisement in a magazine, because I think that those are the two that will lend best to me, having already made a magazine, thank you, email. Having already made a magazine last year, and from reading music magazines, I have a pretty good idea of how to market an album. Making a digipack I've never really done before, but again, from last year, I started taking a lot of pictures. I quite enjoyed it, and I think that it will be a good way to reuse those skills, again, because doing a photo shoot is kind of different to just kind of taking some pics on my phone, and I think it would be quite cool. I mean, when I first think digipack, I first think Taylor Swift's 1984. I'm pretty sure she did a digipack for that, which had all the kind of Polaroids on it, which I thought was a really cool design, and I think with a digipack you can go a long way with something. Same with the music video. I think you can be really, really creative with that. Now, very similarly to last year, I have thought about this already, kind of prepared myself. I didn't put my preparations on my blog, but I have quite a lot of ideas for what I want to do for this music video. I have the song. I'm almost positive I'm going to be doing this song unless something went terribly, terribly wrong. And even if something went terribly, terribly wrong, I'm still going to be doing this song in my spare time, because the girl whose song it is a really good friend of mine, and I think that this is just kind of a little project I've given myself, but I'm always definitely going to be doing this song. It's called Look the Part. Like I said, my friend is Georgina Klovic-Skelton. It's a really good song. It's recorded already. I don't have to do any of that. It's in my iTunes. I just need to stick it on my phone. It's kind of short, which is a bit worrying, but I have some ideas of how I can kind of make it longer. Shorter means that I have to get to the point, really, which is quite good. It means I don't need... I feel like with a longer song, it's the worry that you don't have enough ideas to put into it. So if I have a 5-minute song and I have a 3-minute story, then it's kind of gonna go wrong, and I'm gonna need a lot of filler stuff in there, which doesn't necessarily look good. So I kind of find it better to have a smaller song. I kind of need to cut down a lot and really get to what's good. I don't really know which route I'm going down with it yet. Like I said, I have so many ideas. I'm leaning really towards narrative, maybe mixing in some performance and some conceptual stuff. But mainly narrative, as I can't ever imagine doing performance purely on its own and conceptual merely on its own. I could do, but I'm not sure. Basically, I have this idea with masks, because it's called Look the Part. which could be really conceptual for it, but I don't necessarily think it will work unless I do the story with it, and I'm gonna need so many extras if I do that. But yeah, basically my response to the brief was that I wanted to do this. I put in some pictures of kind of bands that I like and kind of album covers that I like and things like that as little kind of example of where I'm getting some of my ideas from at the moment. Emma Blackery has just released a new EP, and I really like some of the promotional stuff that she did for that. There's some classic stuff. I mean, if we're thinking about like Ed Sheeran, I'd kind of be looking at acoustic-y artists, because that's really what I'd say Georgina's song is, kind of acoustic-y. Possibly you could call it indie. I think it's difficult. But music is very difficult to discuss genre with, I think, because say last year I was doing my music magazine, I was doing My Chemical Romance inspired kind of band, and if you talk to so many people you'll get so many different answers about what they are within the rock genre, because there are so many different subgenres in it. Some people will say they're pop punk, some people will absolutely refuse that they're anything to do with pop punk and call them emo. Some people will absolutely refuse to refer to them as emo and will call them just general rock. And I think that is one of the problems with music, is that there are so many subgenres now, and it just gets too confusing for me, because I don't really know what to call anything anymore. And I mean, so many artists adapt nowadays that their first album won't necessarily sound anything like their last album. I mean, if we're looking at Fall Out Boy, if you look at their original music and listen to the music they're doing now, I feel like they've gone in a very more pop route, with that kind of sound of it. I still like it. This is going into a really weird thing, but like I'm saying, genre is very difficult to describe, but I'm gonna say it's an acoustic-y indie kind of thing. Acoustic seems the best way to describe it, because it's just her, a guitar, and a tambourine, really. Which, admittedly, when I first listened to it, I was like, okay, I don't really know how I'm gonna do this, because most bands will have more than that. They'll have like a drum beat in the background, which will get more intense, or something like that, or they'll have like more backing than Georgina's does, but there's definitely like a rise in it that I can get some stuff out and like kind of have that as the central bit. And I mean, I was listening to Passenger earlier, and Passenger had, in his deluxe album, he had all of his songs redone as purely acoustic kind of sounds to it, and some of his early stuff is just him and a guitar. Like, I was listening to one of his songs earlier, I don't know which song it was, I didn't really enjoy it. But it was just him, and occasionally he'd play a chord, and then for the final chorus I think he actually started playing like in a rhythm rather than just going like spade, like a cappella. So I mean, if we're comparing her song to kind of someone like that, then I definitely think it's more on the Passenger side. So that kind of has already kind of made me feel a bit better about it. I feel like I can actually do her song, which originally I didn't think I could do. But yeah, so I started generating my ideas first, and I responded to the brief and kind of I did a resource audit as well. And I mean, I currently, with the directions that I'm looking at, it is all very school based. But that's part of the narrative, really, is that it's set in a school, because I think that the message that I really want to send with the music video is generally what the songs try to send, is that you need to be yourself, and I think that that works really well for the age group that we're in. I think it works really well with that, because I think that's kind of who the target audience is meant to be. So most of my stuff is school-based. Most of my stories are school-based. I mean, some of them aren't necessarily, but it's still kind of the teenager life. But the reason I think that it works quite well is that we're not necessarily younger teenagers now. I mean, it's like we're getting to that stage now, 17, 18, where it's a really big step for us. Not necessarily as big as jumping into the world of work, and I'm not trying to pretend that we're like suddenly mature or anything. I'm not trying to make us sound any bigger than we are, but we're making big life decisions at this age, and I think that the idea of you becoming more of yourself at this age is very important. So that is the reason why lots of my ideas are currently school-based. I mean, we have places like Camden and London really nearby and stuff like that. We have the woods nearby, but I know that not many people lots of people use the woods as the kind of place, so I don't necessarily know if that will make it any good, but with the ideas that I have, I think that the music video can still be effective while it's still being in a school. But then I did an analysis of a previous student's blogs. I did a guy's name, who I can't pronounce, Feargal McGlinchey, I believe. I believe his name is Feargal McGlinchey. And yeah, basically, he did a really cool music video. He did a music video to James Bay's Scars. I think, what am I supposed to say? Yeah, Scars by James Bay. And I think he got full marks last year, actually. And it was a really cool music video. And definitely looking at his blog, you could see he put a lot of work into what he was doing, which was... It's always good to see when people care. And I think that's one of the good things about media, is people always do care about what they're making. From what I see, most of the blogs I look at, people are actually taking an interest in what they're kind of making, which is really important. But with Fergals, Fergals, I'm going to go with Fergal. Yeah, you could definitely see that he did so much work for it. And I know that we're kind of doing a similar thing. I know we're kind of taking bits of it with kind of splitting our like research and planning into more kind of things, which I thought was just him because I'd only looked at his blog. But yeah, we're doing that. But he had so many posts. He had about double what I had for last year. And I mean, I really want to get up to that stage. I think he was a really good person to look at blog-wise and kind of take some inspiration from, because his end product was really interesting and professional looking, and everything linked really well together. His two ancillary tasks as well, it all had a very similar aesthetic, which, you know, it needs to if it's the same artist. It kind of doesn't work as well if you don't have the same aesthetic. Like, again, going back to My Chemical Romance, the idea of symbolism, I think, is very important in their albums. And although their albums are very different, I mean, their very first album was a lot of quick, almost grungy-esque, with, like, difficult to hear, really kind of cheaply made almost. Not it didn't sound cheap necessarily, just sounded like it wasn't done. It was their beginning album, so I don't think they were signed to a label yet. And it kind of sounded homemade, but it was like in a really cool way, and everything was very like kind of quick and loud and shouty. And then you have, and I mean, that's symbolised on the album cover with I think it's Harry Houdini hanging upside down. It's like an escape artist hanging upside down in like this really scratchy album cover, which I didn't notice for ages, but everyone kept kind of using the symbol, and I eventually saw it. And then you have the symbol on their second album of the two faces, which are going into Kiss, and it's like the album had just a general story that went right through it, so you need it in these are the two people in the story, and then that's very different because you're telling a story through it. And then you had the Black Parade, which is the skeleton on the front who's marching, and I mean, that in itself was a very different album. Everything was a lot more clear, and kind of... you could really hear all the words he was saying, and I feel like his songs began to make a bit more sense because some of the stuff he says is really metaphorical and I just don't understand what he's saying. And then the fourth album was just completely different. It was kind of there going into poppy kind of music, and it has kind of this spider on the front of it. And I mean, if you listen to all these albums, they're all by the same artist, but they're very, very different. But I think the fact that each album has a very definitive symbol on it really brings everything together. So that idea that Fergal had of this kind of aesthetic that he put through all of his products is kind of like grey and earthy and stuff like that. Kind of almost loneliness, kind of neutral, cool colours. Yeah, all of that worked really well together because it all really fit. And I think that was one of the best things that I saw about Fergal's one, is that you need to make everything fit because that's the way it looks professional, is because everything fits, and that's what happens in the professional world, is everything will fit together, so that when you see something you're like, oh, I know that artist, like Taylor Swift. You see the Polaroid and you're like, that's Taylor Swift. That's like, if you saw anyone else with a Polaroid now and like that same, like a different font, I feel like you'd still go back to Taylor Swift because hers got really big, and I'm sure she's not the first person to have done that kind of thing. But just, yeah, it's like recently I mean, the 1975 got in a mood because they said that some of their kind of aesthetic had been stolen for some EU referendum leaflets, because it was the same colour neon sign and it was the same fencing and it was very similar place, and I mean you could see it, but it's that idea of you see the aesthetic and you think one thing and it's another kind of thing. So yeah, aesthetic altogether really good. That's one of the best things that I found about Fergal's work, and that was the best thing about analysing his blog. Then I did my inspirations, and I had so many different songs for this. I love music, really. I'm a huge music lover, so looking up music videos was just like the best task for me. I really enjoyed it. And I got to listen to a lot of bands that I really like, and kind of I do like music, but I don't watch as many music videos as perhaps I should, merely because I'm more of a music listener than a music watcher. I haven't seen a lot of music videos actually, but you know, this topic is gonna make me have to watch a few more. But yeah, so I looked at some Ed Sheeran ones. I looked at one Ed Sheeran one. I looked at Small Bump because that was the first music video I distinctly remember watching with my dad, and he went, "This is the music video I like, the one that tells a story." And the story of Ed Sheeran's Small Bump is he is waiting in a hospital waiting room, I'm assuming for the doctor to come out and tell him what's happened, because the song is about this girl he's with, and she's pregnant, and he's waiting for this baby, and then the baby is miscarried, or it's not going to happen. And the story is him waiting in this waiting room, and you see all these people come and they're doing loads of different things, and they're all there for different reasons, and they generally they keep fading to just generally demonstrate that time is passing. And I think it's all done in one take, which is, it's just really nice and interesting to look at. But I distinctly remember my dad going, "That's the music video that I like," and so I immediately thought of that, and then that really kind of led me on to looking at other people's music videos within that same genre, seeing what they did. I did Passengers Let Her Go, which is purely performance, Vampire Weekend's Cousins, which is an awesome song. I'm really enjoying it at the moment. I really got back into my Vampire Weekend, and that's kind of all performance, but it's kind of got some weird stuff in there that could be kind of almost narrative-y, could be almost kind of conceptual, but it's all a bit weird. I'd call it a performance video, really. I'd call it a main performance video, but it's kind of got some weird conceptual stuff in there. But Vampire Weekend is just generally kind of a weird indie band. Vampire Weekend, I think I'd call it indie. And then I looked at Oxford Comma as well, which is, again, one of the long, continuous takes, and the story generally goes through it. So it's kind of narrative-y, but the story doesn't really fit together. It's, yeah, again, a bit weird. I looked at Adore Delano's I Adore You video, which is all done backwards. Adore Delano is a drag queen, but American drag queens kind of get a lot more into kind of passing for women, and this guy, I can't remember his real name because you don't really find out, but this guy was on RuPaul's Drag Race, and now he's started kind of his own music stuff, and I really like his music. He's released it all under Adore Delano, which is his kind of drag stage name, but it's one of his, and it's kind of him getting out of drag and him finding finding their partners cheating on them, which is quite nice. But yeah, it's all done backwards, which I really liked. I looked at 2 Coldplay ones because Coldplay have they do really cool videos, actually. Whether you like the music or not, their music videos are really cool. However, the music videos are, if you think all their songs are samey, their music videos are also kind of samey. They all kind of start with like Chris Martin kind of in one place lip syncing. Shh! I'm doing something important. It's my media coursework. Unless you're going to talk about their music video, then no. I can't edit that out. I've spent so long on this, I can't edit that out. Anyway, all of them are Chris Martin lip syncing. Yeah, they're all kind of different. They're all kind of narrative-y, conceptually, all of that stuff. But yeah, they were all kind of similar with just kind of Chris Martin there. You never really see the rest of Coldplay. And then I did Tom Odell's Another Love. But I didn't do the short film one. I did the other one with just him in the room, which I really like. I think it's really cool and kind of quite conceptual again with the warm and cold colours, and the kind of room is breaking around him to represent the breaking of his romance with this girl, because he's kind of run out of love, because he's put it all in this other person, which I really like. Then I looked at George Ezra's Budapest, because that's like a weird one with him like performing and things going on around him, and it's kind of a story, but it's kind of all just different people, and it's very weird. And then I did Ben Howard's Keep Your Head Up, which is just really just a beautiful, almost cinematic shots of someone's day out. It doesn't really tell you a story, it doesn't really have a lot. When I was thinking about doing Keep Your Head Up, I had a very different idea of how I was going to do it. So it was interesting to see somebody else do something else for it. It was certainly interesting. Then I did the White Stripes Hardest Button to Button. I think that's what it's called anyway. Hardest Button to Button. Something like that, but it's kind of all done through stop motion-y stuff. It's like one really quick shot. It's all just jump cuts, which is quite interesting. It's them performing just on the drum with like a jump cut, just them moving along. And like, yeah, it's just really odd to watch, but actually kind of cool. And then I looked at the Strokes Reptilia, which is all kind of made up of close-up shots. It's performance-based. It forces you to kind of look at all of them and look at like them all doing the stuff for the song rather than just focus on the lead singer. And I think I was reading something and it was about like, because they were all about the look, the Strokes apparently. I don't really know the Strokes work, but because it was all about the look, it was kind of the fetishization of their bodies shown through like all the close-ups and stuff through their song Reptilia. And then I looked at Mumford & Sons' Little Lion Man, which again is all performance-based, but again was kind of all close-ups, but I don't think it was necessarily to fetishize. It wasn't like a long kind of, ooh, look at their hands kind of thing. It was more of a look at their energy that they have. So that was quite cool. And I quite enjoyed looking at the music videos. And then I was looking at the different Stars music video, so performance, narrative and conceptual, and kind of learning a bit more about those, which was quite cool. And I got to look at kind of the videos that fit into them. So I looked at 3 videos, which I tried not to do ones that I'd already looked at because I wanted it to be kind of interesting to look at. So I looked at Coldplay's Magic as a narrative music video, because that is basically just a short film about this magician's apprentice falling in love with this magician and kind of getting rid of her abusive husband, which is kind of cool. And then I looked at Radiohead's Fake Plastic Trees, because pretty much all of Radiohead's are just really conceptual and odd, and it was interesting to look at it, because with conceptual videos everyone kind of gets something different out of it. So I was saying with the Radiohead one that I saw it as how everyone was becoming more, because it's for Fake Plastic Trees, I saw it as everyone becoming more fake and it being like a more dystopian future because of the bright colours, and it's like everyone's becoming more fake and having to rely on like these fake things that products are like coming out, because it's like this girl is watering a fake rubber plant that she got from fake people, and it's like you don't know how to deal with it. But the director said the film is actually an allegory for death and reincarnation. Didn't get that. I mean, he says that you don't have to get that, and that if you're weird enough to get it, then you're weird enough to get it. But yeah, I didn't get that. And then yeah, I looked at Another Love and Lion Man as Murder 2. So I kind of did look, but I looked at 2 new ones because I thought it would be good to kind of spread. Although I looked at another Coldplay one. And then I am going to go on to do some camera shot analysis, and then I guess just generally generate my ideas a bit more, and just go and research more kind of, I guess, genre-specific stuff. I'm not really sure what's going on next. I know that I have my camera shot analysis to do, but yeah, I don't really know what's coming up next. But yeah, this is my first production log. It was probably very long and very boring with a lot of clicking. We had my dad singing, which is just a great way to start these. I already recorded it once, and I swore in the last one, so I decided that couldn't be shown. And now I've done this one, and it's 20 minutes long, and I'm not going to edit it because that means that it takes longer to upload and my Wi-Fi cannot handle it, so you're just going to have to enjoy my dad singing Red Hot Chili Peppers. You know, it fits. I mean, I'm not doing a Red Hot Chili Peppers music video, but it fits. I don't even know what the music videos look like, but, you know, I hope this was good. I hope this explains what I've been doing. I haven't been wasting my life, I promise. But, yep, I don't really know what else to say to you. So thank you very much for watching. This was my first of many, and hopefully they're going to get shorter, but somehow I think they're going to get longer. So good luck with that. I didn't have a drink today. For people who haven't watched this, I'm assuming examiners, moderators. I don't know who watches these, but I occasionally will have a coffee with me to make this extra chatty. But yeah, so I hope this was fun, and I will see you in my next production log to catch you up on all the fun things I'm doing. But yeah, goodbye.